Hello everyone, I am so happy to see you again. If you watched yesterday's video, you might recall that we tried to tackle some garden chores, and then it started to rain. So we are going to attempt those same chores today, and as a reward for the work, we are going to treat ourselves to some homemade eclairs. Eclairs are the famous French pastries that are filled with pastry cream and topped with chocolate. They are out of this world delicious. And we are going to start with the pastry cream because it needs time to chill. For the pastry cream, we need 4 egg yolks. I'm putting these in a heat-proof bowl. Then we need 1/3 cup or 70 grams of sugar. And we need to whisk the sugar and eggs together until the mixture turns pale. Now, as you can see, this mixture is starting to lighten up. Then I'm adding 1/3 cup, or about 40 grams, of cornstarch, which you may know as corn flour. Then we need 2 cups, or 480 mils, of either whole milk or half and half. Half and half is half whole milk and half cream, and that's what I'm using here. We're going to bring that to a simmer. My milk has come to a simmer. Now I need to add just droplets of the milk to the egg mixture, and we're going to, that's this thing beeping, and we are going to temper the eggs by adding just a droplet or 2 at a time in the beginning, while whisking vigorously. And the reason we have to add the milk so gradually and constantly whisk is so that we don't scramble the eggs. So I have added about 1/3 of the hot milk. My eggs are tempered. I'm going to return this saucepan to the heat, and then I can pour the tempered egg mixture directly into the hot milk. And then whisk constantly until the mixture thickens. This won't take but 2 or 3 minutes. It's already turning thick. And just keep beating until the mixture turns smooth. Then beat in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is the extract that you and I made together. If you added chocolate to this, you would have chocolate pastry cream. And then to give the mixture some gloss, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter, which I have cut into cubes, and just whisk it in until the butter melts. And there we have our pastry cream. Now we can transfer the pastry cream to the cleaned out mixing bowl. By the way, pastry cream is what we use as a base for fruit tarts. So this is a very useful recipe to have. Now I need to cover this with cling film.
Make sure the cling film comes in contact with the pastry cream. This will prevent a skin from forming on the surface of the cream.
We need to pop this into the refrigerator to let it chill completely. And I do have some pastry cream that I made yesterday that we will use for today's eclairs. I have a little left on the spatula, which of course I have to taste. This is delicious. I'm going to wash out my saucepan, and then we can get started on the choux pastry. On to the choux pastry, which is spelled choux. And we need a half cup or 125 mils of water, a half cup or 125 mils of whole milk. Put that in a saucepan. 8 tablespoons or 114 grams of butter. I'm using salted diced butter. You could use unsalted butter here. A tablespoon of sugar. That should have been 1 teaspoon of sugar, not tablespoon. A quarter teaspoon of salt. And then we need to bring this to a boil. And while this is coming to a boil, I'm going to preheat my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. We are at a boil. I'm going to remove this from the heat. And then we need to beat in 1 cup or 130 grams of regular all-purpose flour. We need to beat very vigorously. Then we return this dough to the heat and we continue to stir until a thin layer of dough forms on the bottom of the pan. This is actually a fun dough to make. And it is the same dough that you use for cream puffs or profiteroles. I'm going to let this cool here for a moment while I fetch my electric beaters. Now, one at a time, I'm going to beat in 4 large eggs, and I'm going to beat well after each addition.
These eclairs turned out even better than I could have imagined. As you will see at the end of this video, I rushed through my garden chores in order to taste test the finished pastries.
This electric beater gadget is very old. To tell you how old it is, and relatedly how old I am, I think I bought this at Woolworth. Woolworth has been closed for decades. We want to beat this until a ribbon forms, a thick ribbon, and there we have it. Now we can form the actual eclairs. So I'm going to use my piping bag and a 1/2 inch diameter round tip. And I like to put my piping bag in a vase, just for easy filling. Then I'm going to pipe these into about 3.5 to 4 inch strips. Obviously, I am not aiming for perfection here. I'm just aiming for something that tastes really delicious. Now, these go into the preheated oven, which again is at 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to reduce the oven temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 170 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Our eclairs are done and they look just great. I'm going to transfer them to a wire rack to cool for a bit. They're beautiful, they're crispy on top. This one has a bit of a funny shape, but that's all right. I need a bigger cooling rack. Now I do want to take a skewer to release some of the steam inside. I'm just going to poke this through the end of each pastry. These are very light because they are essentially hollow inside. We need to let these cool before we can fill them. It's going to take probably 10 or 15 minutes. All right, our pastries have cooled. So now I'm going to use this little star tip. You could use any tip to puncture 3 holes along the bottom of each eclair. And it is through these holes that I will pipe the pastry cream. Now, alternatively, you could cut the eclair lengthwise in half, and then you could apply the pastry cream to one half and the other half dip in chocolate, and then just return the chocolate covered half to the pastry cream half. But I'm going to do it this way. So this is the pastry cream that I made yesterday. It is good and cold, and of course it's very firm, which is what we want, because we don't want a loose pastry cream that would be impossible to pipe. So I need to make this smooth again. And to do this, you just use a wire whip or a spoon, to which all of the pastry cream will become embedded in the center. That's the easy fix. Let's use a spoon. I don't remember if I told you that I have made cream puffs or profiteroles many times in the past. In fact, I think I have a video on them. So they are made with the same choux pastry as eclairs. So if you don't want to make eclairs, you could make cream puffs. Boy, it's really hard not to sample everything as you work. Now we need to transfer the pastry cream to a piping bag. I'm going to use the same tip that I used to make the little holes in the eclairs. Now we can fill the eclairs.
For the sake of tidiness, I'm scraping away excess pastry cream from the bottom of each eclair. My offset spatula seems a good tool for this job.
Let me clean up my workstation, and then we will very quickly melt some chocolate and dip our eclairs into the chocolate. I'm going to make a chocolate ganache to top the eclairs. So what I have here is 1/4 cup or 60 mils of heavy cream. I'm going to heat this until it's very hot in the microwave. That will take, 30 seconds? And then I need to weigh out 2 ounces of chocolate. These are organic dark chocolate dollops that I buy at Tierra Farm. And I can link these in the description below if you are interested. Two ounces, and let me tell you what that is in grams. 57 grams. I love my little digital scale. I don't think I have to chop these because they're very thin. So our cream is nice and hot. And just pour this directly over the chocolate. And then stir this from the inside out until all of the chocolate melts. And that will happen very quickly. Of course, this chocolate will harden up as it cools. And to stop it from turning too hard, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of light corn syrup. When I was a child, my mother would make pancakes, and this is what she served with the pancakes: corn syrup. Oh, how I loved pancakes with corn syrup. Let me know if you have the same mother that I did. Actually, I should say that I do. My mother is very much still with us and still baking and cooking. And now we can dip. Let the excess drain off or drip off. And then onto a rack. While the chocolate is setting up, I think you and I should make a quick trip to the local nursery. I have some vegetable plants that just didn't make it, and I want to replace them. Let's see if we can find some good replacements. We are home again in the herb garden. Let me show you what has happened to the cabbage that you and I planted, a month ago? It is skeletonized. I think slugs are the culprit. So I've got to pull these up because there is no hope for this cabbage beyond compost. This will make fine compost. Another vegetable that did not fare well is this broccoli. We had a very cold early spring, and then suddenly the temperature reached 90 degrees and the broccoli bolted. So I'm not going to replant broccoli, but I will replant cabbage. I'm going to replant this bed with the Savoy cabbage that you and I just purchased at the berry farm. And then I will have to buy some organic product that will either slow down or eliminate slugs in this bed. Fresh, beautiful Savoy cabbage. Spacing for cabbage in a raised bed is about 12 inches. We had to run inside because we had a sudden downpour. Now the sun is coming out. So I have this jalapeno pepper to plant. Only one, because in all honesty, I don't use jalapeno peppers all that often. But I do love them for pico de gallo. And plant that right over here between the parsley, which is doing just beautifully. This is the parsley that you and I grew from seed. So I will plant the pepper between the parsley and the cilantro and the brand new Savoy cabbage. Now, we are going to head up to the kitchen garden just as soon as I fetch my sunglasses. Sunglasses and apron because I need to do a little cooking. So this is the fish fertilizer that you and I bought in last week's episode, and I didn't use it because we had a lot of rain. Today I'm going to use it in the kitchen garden. So I have a gallon of water here, and it says to add 1/8 of a cup to 1 gallon of water. Give that a stir. And then we can head up to the kitchen garden. I'm going to fertilize the onions, and I'm going to I'm going to look for a place to plant this classic eggplant. I've never grown eggplant before in my life. A pause for the cause. I want you to see the alpine strawberries that have bloomed and fruited over here in the serpentine garden. Super sweet, just delicious. And as I walked up the steps of the serpentine garden, I noticed a pink flower, which I did not plant. Have a look.
This plant looks like foxglove to me. Let me know what you think.
Truly remarkable and truly stunning. So this is the onion bed over here. You and I planted 100 storage onions. They are not doing very well. I blame the soil. I bought supposedly compost from a local nursery 2 years ago, and it was mostly inert. It was just not fertile. I have to first take these weeds out of here. This is the dreaded sumac. I hope you don't have this in your garden. So here's a dead onion, well, almost dead onion right there. So I hope this organic fish fertilizer will give the onions what they need in order to grow. I'm not going to give you a full garden tour today, but please let me know if you'd like to see one in the future. In the meantime, the weeds are pulled from this bed anyway. The onions are fertilized. Let's head back to the kitchen. I'm really eager to try one of the eclairs. I forgot to plant that eggplant. I'll do that later. In the meantime, here are the eclairs, and I did cut one in half so you could see the beautiful pastry cream filling. I'm going to brew some coffee, and then you and I can head into an air-conditioned room and try one of these eclairs. I have been waiting all day to try one of these eclairs. A little cream. Hot coffee on a hot, humid day. I should have my head examined. Now, there are 2 ways to eat an eclair. Out of hand or with fork and knife. We will be casual today. This is just wonderful. I love every component of these eclairs. The choux pastry shell, the vanilla pastry cream filling, and the chocolate ganache topping. They are just exquisite. I hope you will give them a try someday, and I will post a link to the printable recipe in the description below. I should probably mention that the French word éclair literally translates to flash of lightning. No surprise, if you make these eclairs, they will be gone in a flash of lightning. Fortunately, I have some friends coming over later today who can help me polish off these eclairs. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as we shopped for plants and we fertilized the onion patch and we forgot to plant the eggplant and we made these gorgeous eclairs. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And I can put a couple of my other videos at the end of this one that you can enjoy between now and my next upload. Until then, please treat yourself well, and I will see you in the next episode on Friday. Chin chin, my friends.